more American energy. Immeasurable, unstoppable energy.
Okay, good morning, everybody. When I said last week or 2 weeks ago about when I find stuff, I gotta come on. So I found some good stuff again. So we got a 45-minute, one of our favorite channels, the Newsforce lady is on from last night. So that's gonna be a big one. And I got a lot of great ones. So everybody stay tuned for the good news out again today. Nothing on Mel yet, Boz. I don't know what she's putting out stuff on her channel, but no videos yet. Come on. Come on, Chico. So, I'll try to stay on as long as I can for the first show. I know everybody's at work. Hopefully they get to listen. Oh, Lucy, you got time to come in, huh? Monday morning. Got a lot of good stuff today. Like always, but more. We got Newsforce 45 and found some good stuff. And that's not even counting Billy Bean yet. She hasn't been out yet. Okay, good. You know, quiet day today. And a lot of intel. Hopefully I can get a lot of stuff out in the first show. Unless I have to go somewhere. So Lucy, did you know? Yeah, I thought there was somewhere. Yeah, I'll try to. I think there was a clip. I'll try to find that clip on TikTok or somewhere else. I'll get that clip. Thanks. What did you know those people on that clips yesterday about talking to their senators? Oh, and also, okay, I'll look him up. Thanks, Ann. You guys remember her? We'll see here in a second. I guess I thought she passed away. She's back. So that's kind of strange.
I dare you to open this app.
That's what I thought. So we'll see what happens that comes out of that video. All right. Oh, Fox showing business showing Elon's said, or she said it was a computer error. Oh, she isn't a multi-millionaire. That's a good one. A computer error. Oh my god. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I want to get a lot out. I know a lot of people are at work, so we'll do some short clips.
Because it's the right thing to do for the country because we're winning so much. People are sick, they're tired, they're sick and tired of winning. You know, Bernie called me, said, "Sir, you have to stop winning so much because don't tell the public I said this, but you have to stop winning so much because it's causing a problem with healthcare." Bernie, you think you know healthcare, but nobody knows healthcare more than me. Healthcare right now is free. So it doesn't matter if you're sick of winning, you just go get treated for free. It's really become a catastrophe that might impact the economy, and the economy's great. I mean, you go to the grocery store, they just hand you food for free. You go to the gas station and they just fill your car up for free. There's no point in charging. We're winning so much. I mean, you go to buy a house, they just give you the keys. You don't even, the mortgages, they're just handing, and really it's a problem. They're handing out a mortgage to anyone. I heard about dogs and cats are getting mortgages. We have to look into that because we don't want that to happen because homes are for people, not for animals. But that's how cheap houses are. You can buy anything you want. And that's why people are sick because we're winning so much. You know, my whole cabinet, Rubio, everybody, JD, Tulsi, Rubio, RFK. And RFK never gets sick, and he is so sick of winning. And if previous presidents had done their job, they would have prepared the American people to win at this level. They've never won this much. They're not used to winning, really. And if I had all the presidents in one room from the past, I'd say, all of you should be ashamed of yourselves because you didn't prepare the American people to win this big. Guys. So now I can't even do it. I have to step down as president. And that's because of you, all of you. The hospitals have to build additions for the extra sick people. I mean, they're so packed. They're too packed. They have nowhere to put the sick people. There's lines out the door. There's huge lines, miles and miles of people who are sick of winning. The hospitals call me. They say, you need to stop winning. So we might have to win a little less, but it's very hard to do.
So that was a good one there. And guess what she's going to talk about, Ed? The earthquake. So we'll listen to Billy on that when I get to it. We got a Nick Shirley video, also another one. This is for Kate. She likes the birds. Birds. Hey, listening. This is video. About 3 minutes. Sandy! A lot of intel today. Kip Kip. This video for Kay. She has a bird. One of those, I think. So that was good. So we got Nick Shirley 25. We got Newsforce 45. We got Billy just came out about the earthquake. And then so we're trying to get a lot out today. See how long I can go on the first show. Next one is a short clip.
It always points.
Joining us now for tonight's
This
big
one's
close
9
up
minutes.
is independent journalist Nick
Yes,
Shirley.
you.
Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. I read through this bill today as painstakingly, as painful as it was. And the section where they give definitions is really where the dirty work is. Because in the beginning, you think, okay, well, it's not legal to harass somebody because of their job. You may disagree over if any specific group gets that protection, but you can understand that. But when you look into the definitions, it defines an immigration support service to be a healthcare, like an immigration support service facility to be a healthcare facility. So the ambiguity there is huge. And then under harassment, it basically says a reasonable person caused a reasonable person to fear for their own safety. So that goes to the discernment of, I don't know, bureaucrats or people that are filing a complaint. They really leave it incredibly open-ended for you to be targeted for going to a place of work and reporting on it, depending on what that place does.
Yeah, and that's their whole goal, is to make it as open-ended as possible so they can then crack down on anybody who's working to expose them. In this bill, it doesn't say journalist. It actually says people or business. It doesn't say a journalist. So this is actually an attack on not just me, but an attack on the entire country, because they're trying to literally make it harder for fraud to be exposed. And so when they say it's an attack on journalists, it's actually an attack on everyone.
Yeah, it certainly is. Nick, I know that you've talked a lot about this, but what do you make of the fact that the person really pushing this is Assemblywoman Mia Bonta? She's got some interesting connections, doesn't she, Nick?
Very interesting connections. With her husband being the Attorney General of California, their goal as a family should be to prosecute and take care and make sure that there is so little fraud in the state that they can have such a peaceful night of sleep. However, while the Attorney General is supposed to be prosecuting fraud, his wife is creating laws to let fraud continue. They're specifically saying that NGOs who receive money based off immigrant services don't have to disclose their money. And so we know that they use those services to commit fraud.
Yeah.
You know, Nick, it's interesting to me that people who will scream fascism or authoritarianism the loudest are now rushing to criminalize investigative journalism. I think that sort of speaks for itself. We played a clip here on the show last evening of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. She was on a podcast talking about how your efforts and similar efforts really kind of amount to creepy harassment. And it's creating, she called, a cloud of suspicion unfairly around minority-owned businesses. What's your response to the Congresswoman when she says something like that?
Well, it's a bit suspicious to have your net worth go up by millions and then just recently say that it's an error. I mean, I don't think I've ever put 2 extra zeros as an error when I file any report. So Ilhan Omar, we know who she is. We know that she's like the queen of the fraud, actually. And so Ilhan Omar, no respect to her whatsoever.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, it's Anita Vogel. I had a chance to meet you and your mom last month when you came into the Fox Los Angeles Bureau to be on Fox News at Night with Trace Gallagher. We were all on the show together. And I really enjoyed meeting your mom. She told me she studied journalism and has been helping you with your efforts to expose fraud. She, in many cases, does the camera work. And you really have been a team out there. But she also told me how dangerous this work is and the threats that you have received. And I think a lot of people don't think about that when they see your videos because we're just so in awe of what you're doing. But talk a little bit about the danger here that you're dealing with.
Yeah, so the danger is real. Like, for instance, last time I was in California, a few trips back, people were trying to dox my location live. I was at a hotel and people were up on Reddit group chats saying where I was staying. And it's happened a few times now. So it's like almost even dangerous for me to go stay at hotels because you can get doxxed really quick and people can find out where you're at. You get constant death threats from people. The fraudsters are angry. In fact, they're very angry. I've had death threats, and one of them was even very specific about the date. It's actually supposed to be coming up very soon, the date that they said they'd kill me. So that was interesting. And you just get all these death threats. You get doxing. But the majority of the public are very thankful. Like when I'm out in public, so many people come up to me and say thank you. Is actually interesting at Sacramento when I was just there. So many people were saying thank you, but the people inside the building, they all hate me because I'm exposing their corruption. But the people love me.
Nick, the Bonta family does not like you, but the rest do. I want to ask you, speaking of that, Governor Gavin Newsom and his press bros, they talk a lot of junk about you. They post photos of you. I think the recent one trying to make you look like Dumb and Dumber. A lot of it is childish and stupid, but they've also insinuated that you're some kind of a predator, that you go to facilities and you're looking for children. And I believe Joe Rogan also addressed that on his podcast. But what do you make of the way that the governor of California, his team, and others, the way that they characterize you?
Well, they should be working with me to crack down on this fraud. Instead, they want to make me look like the bad person. Maybe it's because that fraud makes them look bad. But in reality, I'm there to help everyone out. This fraud, it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. There is a lot more fraud in Democrat states, but I'm actually just trying to help America in general. And so for them to make these attacks, it's quite frankly very stupid of them to do that when in fact, I'm just providing a huge public service, more than any public service they've done. And they get very upset about it.
Nick Shirley, you're young in this career, but I'd say wise in what you're doing. So we really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Too quiet? Turn your sound from 100% to 600% with Volume Max. Just hit Add to Chrome. It installs in seconds.
So that was that one. That was a good opening. Chico, come here. I got a 10-minute one coming up here.
¡Ey, pero tienen que traer una orden, vatos! ¡Tienen que traer una orden! ¡Ey, tienen que traer una orden! ¡Ey, muchacha, muchacha! ¡Regrésate, muchacha! Oh.
He's from Chicago. Chicago.
Muchacha, regrésate. ¡Ey! Tienen que traer una orden, vatos. Tienen que traer una orden. Ya deja de estar dando toques. ¡Ey, déjenlo! No le estés dando toques, vato.
This is ICE, I believe. You know, getting somebody.
¡Ey! ¡Ey! Ya lo agarraste. ¿Para qué lo vas a estar echando más? ¡Ey, muchacha! ¡Regrésate! ¡No! ¡Ey! Muchacha, regrésate. Muchacha,
Sorry about that one, you guys. We can't understand them, so that was a mistake on that one. We'll do Billy Bean to get that big one out. Is the earthquake.
(2026) time in Texas about 9 a.m. Soon things will cover a major earthquake near Japan. President Trump, fire, and some more information coming out about Charlie Kirk. What's going on with the U.S. and Iran talks today and security issues. And we have China actively participating in mining the Strait of Hormuz. And we have U.S. intel. So let's get started. So we have this morning some information coming out about a major earthquake taking place east of Japan, Honshu Island. It was a 7.4 magnitude, about 6 miles deep. It did generate a tsunami warning, which was then canceled. From the sun today, the sun is quiet, but we have on YouTube Space Weather site, Ben Davidson, a white paper coming out detailing impact between the sun and human hormones. So that's going on. And we have this, have a Patriot subscriber who says,
this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to grab a true 16-terabyte ultra-large capacity, 1,000 megabytes.
With regard to Iran, take out all the decks and piers in Bandar Abbas. That's a port in southern Iran near the Strait of Hormuz. Or is what's going on in the strait just eye candy for the press? No, I don't believe it's eye candy for the press. I believe it's really serious.
Hey, Kim.
And we have this from a Patriot subscriber. Yes. So in my last video, I put out that the Earth's electromagnetic shield around the Earth, this shield is generated from inside the Earth, comes out at the poles, the North Pole, South Pole, then wraps around the Earth. This is our primary protection around Earth from the sun and space, cosmic rays, and so on, to ensure that life goes on Earth. If we had no electromagnetic shield, there would be no life on Earth because the radiation from the sun would burn everything up. Now, For decades, the shield has been weakening. This is part of a cycle every so many thousand years that goes on that eventually involves a pole shift. My opinion on the pole shift is I like the model where it says the shield will go away for about 30 minutes. Then the Earth will regenerate its electromagnetic shield with a pole flip. In other words, North Pole polarity we'll see on our compasses in the south geographic area of the Earth. It's called a pole shift. And it happens periodically. So during this process, we do see a weakening of Earth's electromagnetic shield in this area. We also have what's called radiation belts that further protect the Earth. And my Patriot subscriber says, the electromagnetic shield will compress the radiation belts and produce on Earth to ground electricity, which can definitely be life-threatening and would generate a lot of fires on Earth. And we do have Mike from around the world predicting in the next couple of years, we will see spontaneous fires on the Earth as a result of this interaction with Earth. So I have a Patriot subscriber who definitely understands physics with regard to the Earth's shield. We have some new information coming out about Charlie Kirk. Now, recently, I brought out that U.S. intel that at the time of the Charlie Kirk assassination, and as you will see, many nations already knew beforehand that the assassination was scheduled because we had U.S. intel. Cell phones were geolocated around the area where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. 16 from Israel, 13 from, I believe, China, and 12 from Russia. And then in the last U.S.-Iran talks in Pakistan, it came out that 3 of the 16 Israeli cell phones that it's believed by U.S. intel were there to witness for their government that the assassination had taken place. 3 out of the 16 were staying at the Serena Hotel in Pakistan where the talks were taking place. We also reported in the last few days that Vice President Vance had been pulled from going to the next round of talks, we believe scheduled for Tuesday, because of security issues. Now we understand that Vice President Vance did go on the trip. It's a 15-hour flight for the U.S. to get there, whereas it takes Iran 3 hours to go. Iran still says they're not going. But with regard to the security issues for Vice President Vance, we're hearing that Pakistan now is emptying the government buildings around the hotel. They're telling government employees, work from home for a few days. The freeways are all being shut down on highways, and people are being checked. So we see an increase in security.
Artlist Studio is here, and it has controls built with video creators in mind, so you can intuitively direct.
So we see that going on. Now, with regard to Charlie Kirk, we have Israeli News Live bringing out more data. Now, we know the FBI fall guy, a young guy about 20 from Utah, is on trial right now. And the government is alleging that he shot Charlie Kirk with the .30-06. Universally, gun experts say Charlie Kirk was not shot with the .30-06, a very powerful weapon They say if he'd been hit with a 30-06 around his face, he would have been decapitated. Now we have this new information coming out that it's believed now Charlie Kirk had a transceiver, a small little device that can receive and send communications. It's believed, as part of his microphone and other things, attached to his waist. It's now believed remote controls activated the transceiver, which then put a projectile up, a bullet that went up his chest, and because he had a metal necklace on, it defrayed the impact of that bullet, and then it went into his neck area. So that's going on. And we have this. We have that the U.S. Navy now is positioning more carriers, U.S. strike carriers around the Middle East. And the Ford, alleged to have been down for 1 to 2 years for repairs. The Ford has been reactivated. It's unclear exactly where the Ford is, whether it's in the Mediterranean or making its way through the Red Sea. We also have the Lincoln Strike Carrier Group. The Bush is moving into place. So that's going on. We are hearing the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, with the Hezbollah, it's believed, firing into northern Israel last night or early this morning. And we're getting information then from the U.S. Navy CENTCOM regarding the firing of the U.S. Navy on the Iranian cargo ship Tuska that happened yesterday. The Tuska was coming from China, and the Marines are boarding it today. I'll be curious to see whether there are weapons on that ship coming from China, because we know China is supplying weapons. It's believed now they're also supplying mines for Iran to put into the Strait of Hormuz. But yesterday, the Tuska coming from China into Iran tried to run the U.S. Navy blockade. After 6 hours of interaction, the USS Burness fired into the engine room of the Tuska. Prior to that happening, the U.S. Navy had been engaging for 6 hours in verbal exchanges. They put up flares and did other things that are warning that the U.S. Navy is going to fire. Then they told the Tuska to evacuate their engine room. The U.S. Navy is going to fire. They fired 3 shots, disabling the Tuska. It was dead in the water. Then the U.S. Marines and helicopters boarded that ship to examine it and find out what's on board. Now, we had a source who said that there could be IRGC security people on board, so that's going on. My position is it's highly likely China was shipping weapons, and that's why the Tuska would not turn around. The Tuska was ordered to run the blockade and get those weapons into Iran, I believe. And we understand that was the first time the U.S. Navy had used guns on its Navy ship to fire on another ship or other things since 1991. So that's going on. We believe President Trump gave the order, fire. And we have this.
The new Value Feast is here at KFC, stacked with hot and crispy, delicious goodness. Comes in more chicken.
Yeah. So we had the 31st Expeditionary Marines boarding the Tuska. That happened last night. We haven't heard yet what they have found. And we have this. Yeah. So the U.S. Navy fired on the IRG ship, and now they're investigating what's on board. And we have this from U.S. Intel. Now, I find this peculiar. Canadian Air Canada, has suspended flights for 5 months to New York City JFK Airport. Now, it comes out that JFK has increased the cost for their jet fuel 100%. In other words, Air Canada flying into JFK would refuel, and Air Canada would pay JFK for the jet fuel. Now, what I find curious is that Air Canada has suspended their flights to JFK for 5 months. What does Air Canada know about the price of jet fuel extending into the future for 5 months that you and I don't know? So that's going on. We have this from BP Earthwatch. So we do have 2 significant ceasefires coming up. We have a ceasefire currently between Israel and Lebanon that's going to end April 26. The current ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran ends Wednesday. So that's going on. And we have this. Yeah. Now, I find this curious too. So Europe is now returning Ukraine refugees back to Ukraine. We know Ukraine had been crying, send our refugees back. We need to waylay them and put them on the front lines. So that's going on. And we're hearing too in Europe now is trying to put together legislation to get immigrants out of Europe. You know, that was the deep state plan, also for the U.S., to destroy cultures from within and for the immigrants to overcome the citizens of nations. And we know that one of the reasons President Trump and the second term was so fast to get that wall up across a U.S. southern border is that credible sources say inside Mexico, we have 100,000 Chinese military. And it's believed in Canada that Canada is prepping to bivouac CCP military. I got this to say to Canada and Mexico. Highly likely that in the future you will become part of the U.S. So that's going on. And we have this, that France is shipping back to Ukraine 50,000 Ukraine refugees. Ireland is shipping back 16,000. So yeah, that's going on. And we have this from Benny Johnson. So the head of FBI, Kash Patel, has gone on TV to say the FBI now has documentation evidence that the U.S. presidential election of 2020 was indeed rigged. And we see the presidential election of 2020 as being one of the causes for the U.S. taking Venezuela, now Iran, next will be Cuba, and eventually China. We will get to you. Now we're hearing in China that 10 provinces, like states inside China, the people are in full revolt, and that China's military is unable to put it down. Of course, we're not hearing that over regular news channels. So that's going on. And we have this. The U.S. Navy has been demining the Strait of Hormuz. I put out in the last video, they're using a General Dynamics robotic towed array. It goes along the surface of the water. It's battery powered, made by General Dynamics. Two types called Kingfish and Knifefish. But in the last few weeks, the U.S. Navy has obtained some mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and they sent them to be a test lab in San Diego. It turns out that they were made by the Chinese, for the Chinese military, and contain Chinese CETC military chips. So we see, and these contained transceivers. So we know that China is using the below satellite system for China to provide intel to Iran, assisted by Russia. Russia and China are colluding to give intel to Iran. China continues to send weapons also across Pakistan, of which Pakistan is fully aware. And yet, Pakistan is mediating the peace talks. It's really sweet. And we have this. So China has put mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Well, China provided to Iran. Iran put the mines in the Strait of Hormuz. These sophisticated mines are smart mines. They have transceivers on them, which China can activate from its satellites in the sky. China is up to its eyeballs in this hot mess. We have this from Lay's Real Talk that, yes, talking about China's below satellite. China, who cares nothing for the Chinese people, as a similar attitude we see demonstrated in Iran. Iran machine guns down its citizens in its streets and continues day by day to do that same thing. China put out this rule last year that e-bikes were not to be used by the Chinese people. Now, many of the Chinese people live in extreme poverty, and they use the e-bikes not only as a cheap way to get around, but they also use them in their delivery businesses. Well, China put that new satellite in the sky below and mandated new types of e-bikes, which are very expensive, because those e-bikes, the new ones, could be tracked by China's satellite. Now China is demanding that the Chinese people give up their primary way of getting around the e-bikes, and they are ruthlessly enforcing this new rule. They actually lasso some of the e-bike riders and jerk the rope, causing, of course, accidents and injury to the Chinese. So that's going on. And China, of course, provides no alternative for the Chinese people. So it would be good to be in prayer. We understand those talks in Pakistan. Some say they're to take place today, Monday. Others say Tuesday. We know we have a big time difference. But we do understand today that Vice President Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner are going, while Iran says, in view of the U.S. Navy stopping I believe it's weapons shipment, that it's not going to the talks. I got this to say to Iran, F around and find out. So it would be good to be in prayer for President America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, that's the first Billy Bean. Time for the big one here. Newsforce, lady. Oh, shoot. Where do I have it now? Oh, there it is.
Zone collectively. Hey guys, Wendy from Newsforce. How are you warriors doing out there? You know, Iran's pulling a lot of different things right now. And some of it's fake, some of it's real. One of the most realist things that is going on right now is their dumps. We're going to go right into this, guys, because this is very exciting to see. This really lets us know that the world, the people of the world have the control now. Okay, there is no one country that has control. There is no one man that has control. There is no one group that has control. It's not about blood types. It's not about deep staters. It's not about white hats. It is about the people being able to prove that we have the control. And I'm pretty sure, looking at these dumbs we're going to take a look at, it's going to more than prove to you who's in control in Iran. Let's get right over to the maps, guys. So it looks like the white hat military has gone right in. Let me just back out a little bit so I can explain where we're at first, guys. All right, here we are, and Saudi Arabia is right here. Just going to do a little geography here. And we have Pakistan, that's right here, guys. India, okay. Here is Africa, all right. And Iran is right here, guys, okay. Let's go on in on it. All right, as we come in, you will see them pop like crazy. Now, Iran, we haven't been doing a lot of work in Iran, and like I've always taught, okay, most of the time we go in, we clear a bunch of stuff out, we get it all cleaned up, and then we kind of come back for a last-minute sweep. And it's the 10 kms, which is the tunnels that are the main structures where all the other veins of all the other tunnels run to, is our 10 kmers. So when we see 10 kmers being blown up, we know that area is pretty much done. Okay, and good old Iran. It looks like, showing from the map, that the people have full control over it, because we have been blowing up some 10 km dumbs, guys, in that area. Not only that area, which is right here, Iran, okay, like that. But you can see there's a conglomeration going on over here and all up in here. All right, but the big dogs of Iran, let's just go in to their west coast here. By the way, here's the straits, the famous Straits of Hormuz. There she is, right there, about right there. Okay, guys, they've been talking about that in the news like crazy, haven't they? Okay, so just to the north of the Persian Gulf, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go earliest to latest, and we are going to click on this dumb. So check her out, folks. Finishing up in there, letting the people know who really has control. There's our 10 km. And that was a 4.7 blast. Okay. It was just to the north and the east of Ramahmas, Iran. Okay. I may be pronouncing that wrong. Forgive me for those that are from that region. No disrespect there. Incredible. There's one 10 km. Let's go ahead and clear this from our maps real quick. And now let's head just to the bit to the north. First, let's zoom in and see what we can see. All right, guys. A lot of little towns, huh? I see some water right up here. Okay, we're always looking for water, right? Of course, a quarry. Yeah, just to the north of it. All right. And we see some rivers right in through here. Okay. If I could read their language, I would do better for you. Let's go in Malagua, just to the south of Malagua, and to the east, and just to the north, and to the east of Kiev. Here's our dam, guys. Let's zoom in closer. See if we can see anything around it. I don't see much around it, guys. A lot of thick brush and, a lot, of course, a lot of caverns, very difficult area to get to. I just want to slip up here and see what, there's a little bitty town. Yeah. Let's just look at a couple of these towns here. So this is in a natural reserve. This is a park, folks. Okay. Of course, right? All national parks are, above ground, it's for us to play in. Below ground, it's for them to control, so they know who's coming and going from those areas due to the dams, right? Okay, let's come on back out. We're going to head to this north dam. Now, this one was 5 days ago, folks, okay? And again, another 10 km showing who's really in control, including Iran. Okay, the people of Iran, we're all white hats. All right, if you're on the side of winning for peace and freedom, you're a white hat, right? We're all warriors, and including the people of Iran and all of the people who are beginning to start their new world and put it back together again for the people. Very nice dumb blast, 4.1. Okay, guys, and so that would have been northwest of Verdashinshire. Okay. I'm sure some of you are laughing at me that have traveled the world. I can feel it. Okay, guys, let's zoom in and see where this little puppy is at. All right, so here is, all right, you see Verdashinshire. Dunshire. Oh, I've heard of that before now that I say it, right? Here it is right here, guys. All right, let's go in closer and see what we can see. First, I want to see this little town. All right, so it's not so small. There you guys go. There's the town. Let's just see if there's any roads climbing up near our dam. Yeah, see, hunting, prohibited area. So we're getting off into, again, national park type stuff. Let's go on in and zoom in on it and see. Okay. So very deep in that crevice. Look at how dark it is in there. Very, very dark. That's where that one is at. Let's come on back out here. And we are going to go ahead. Good for you, Iran. Good for us, for the world, that we're getting rid of them. And we're going to just go south, guys. We're going into Pakistan, just to the south, right across the border into Pakistan. We're going to go ahead to this dam here. Just to the south of Turbat. Here's Turbat. Click on that puppy. All right, guys, there she is again. 10 km. 4.3 blast. We're going to town in that area. That lets you know that the deep state does not have any control anymore. They're done. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And of course, we see our shelf. Once we get in the ocean, you can see how the shelf comes out and then drops off like that. Always built right into those shelves, right? Where those submarines and stuff can come and go comfortably from land to water. All right, guys. Panzai, Pakistan, they're labeling this one at, okay? Forgot to say that on there, and we got ourselves that 10 km there. All right, so there you guys go. We really can't see much, can we ever, in that? And let's continue south to this dumb here. Again, a 10 km, 4.6. This was yesterday, folks. Both of these twinsies. We have twinsies. We have always twinsies on those 10 kms when you know they're finishing up when you have duplicates like that side by side, the way that you see that there. Let's continue to the south, okay? Just along the shelf line here, and we're going to come in on this. Let's take a look-see. Again, another 10 km. Woo! Yes, 5.5 blast, just all the way down, almost in a straight line from Iran. Just get them all, right? And that was 2 days ago, folks. Consider the Carlsberg Ridge is where that one was at. Let's go ahead and just go to that one just to the north and peek and see here. 2 days ago, again, twinsies, 10 km, 4.9, Carlsberg Ridge. See you, Carlsberg Ridge. We took care of that. Yes, that's just fantastic, folks. Fantastic. There you go. Just love seeing those 10 kms. It just basically takes the book of the Illuminati, slams it shut, and says the end. It's over, right? Okay, guys, let's just go ahead and we're going to go up here a little bit more past Iran. I'm going to wait for these to pop, all of these. There we go. And we are going to go up into, got some couple of twinsies here. I just want to make sure I don't by accident click on the wrong dumb. I want that one right there. Whoops, wrong one. That one to the north. There we go. So this was Eastern Turkey. A lot of 10 kms going off in Turkey. I've been watching just daily. Boom, 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 boom. 10 km after 10 km. It's just wonderful. And we know Turkey plays a big part in the NATO situation as they're the only stronghold left in the fake NATO. They pull out and it's all over with. They might as well just take that name NATO and light it on fire and go poof and into the wind, right? And we're hoping for that news very soon as we transition from the 3D to the 5D. All right, that's just fantastic there in Turkey. Congratulations. And again, that was 2 days ago on the 17th. Let's zoom in and see what we have. All right. Oh, it looks like it's going to be right out in the fields, farmers' fields. There we go. Let's see if this highway will go ahead and tell me what it is. It won't. I think it's just a side through road for like tractors and stuff like that, I'm going to guess. There you go, right out in the field, guys. Okay. A lot of 10 kms, you guys. This really tells you we're finishing up with things when there's just 10 km after 10 km. Let's check what this one is here right next door. That was yesterday in Kamchatka. All right. And Kamchatka again. All right. And that was a 9 km. Close, but no cigar. So, okay, right now we're like spoiled on 10 kms. We don't even care about the veins anymore. We just want to see the 10 kms, right, guys? Okay, let's go ahead and pull back out again. And then the twinsie next door is right over here. I'm calling it a twinsie with that one because I'm going to bet that it was the same exact deal. Nope, I was wrong. 7 km 4.0 blast, guys, which is still good. You know, that's still good. Just take a peek where it's at. There we go. Deep, real deep. Let's back ourselves out here and keep running a little bit. We're going to head north of the Black Sea here. Let everything just pop out again. There we go. We are going to pop over to Greece. Why? Because I have another 10 km for you. Guys, there she blows. 16 hours ago, 10 km, 4.8. And this was in Eriprada, Greece. Eriprada, Greece. I love trying to pronounce these. And note, right next door, of course, we have a whole bunch exploding. So that means they're going to be busy there for a little while. Just because they blow up a 10 km doesn't mean they're done with the area. 10 kms can be combined in. What the biggest thing is when an area is really quiet for a long time, like the entire region, and all of a sudden they'll hit a 10 km. That's when you know they're letting us know that they're closing the chapter and it's the end for that area like that. So let's go ahead and head to the east a little bit further here. A lot to get to here tonight. Let me just pull back out, let everything pop. All right, we're going to go ahead back in. And I want to go into this mess right here in Tajikistan, just across the Afghanistani border there. All right, just taking a look at some of these. So we're going to come in on Eskin. We have one here. So this is warm Afghanistan, where we have ourselves. Well, look at that, guys. So that's 198 km deep. Okay. Really, really deep tunnels, folks. Really deep tunnels. Let's just take a look. 147 km. They're deep on these, that's for sure. 186 km. They are deep on all of these. They definitely are determined, but they're getting some good ones in there. Okay, here's Kyrgyzstan. Let's just go up here to Kyrgyzstan and just see what this one's all about. See if we can go. Yep, there's a 10 km. Good for you, Kyrgyzstan. Woohoo! 4.2, folks. 4.2. Let's go in and see if there's anything around it. Nope. Pretty sand, though. Pretty sand colors, though. Most definitely. That's so pretty. Gorgeous mountains region there. All right, let's come back out here. There we go, so we can see our full map. We're going to head right over to China to take a look at another 10 km here. All right, here we go, guys. 12 hours ago. Southern Qinghai, China. If anybody knows how to pronounce that one. It's a 10 km. That's all I care about. Who cares how to pronounce the city? 4.5. And that Qinghai, I'm going to guess is how you pronounce it, China. Very awesome there for you, China. And it's right in the middle of nowhere. And that's the point I like to make all the time about these areas where you don't see the little dumbs and stuff being blown up anymore. You know, it's a big deal when a 10 km goes off because it tells me that's it. It's over in that region, you know, just absolutely fantastic. Let's go in for a close-see here and see if we can see if there's any towns or anything. I see a road going through here. Is this a town? Oh, it's just kind of a wash. There is some sort of facility right there across the street. All right. And I don't really see any towns around it. There you go. Good job, China. Right on. We really love seeing that for sure. All right, let's go way north. Okay, we're going to go up into Russia, guys. I've got another one for you. It might be out in the middle of no man's land, but each one is important, right? For sure. So this one, we're taking a look at it. Will not open, but it is a 10 km. Let me see if I can get it to open. And boom, there we have another 10 km. Ole Comiskey District 251. Okay, guys. And that was a 4.2 blast. Very nice. Very, very nice. Exceptional. We love seeing that. Let's go ahead and go in and see what we can see. I do see some water right here. There we go. We've got some water. Any towns on top of that water at all? Let's just look around it. See what we can see. Do. Go all the way around it. It does look like there is a river that runs right through there. All right, let's go in right on top of it. They're not going to let us see much that close. There we go again, out in no man's land. Okay, let's back out here. Let's go over into this mess just for a minute. Let it all pop here. And we are going to head down south to New Guinea. Okay, a lot of action going on there. I'll just let you guys take a look at that for a minute. Look at all that action as it pops. A lot of action. Look at this. You just about can't see this area at all. Banda C, you can't, very busy. You can just about pick that circle up of what they're doing, can't you? All right. And again, here's New Guinea, guys. Looks like they've been real busy on that area. You can just about imagine how bad that area is. But again, like I always say, what area it wasn't bad, you know? All right, let's take a look at this. Just let's see here. This is all right, northwest of Terra Hella, Papua New Guinea. Okay, guys, and looky, we got ourselves a 10 km. A 5.0 blast. That's pretty big. That's pretty good. They really nailed whatever's going on there. So you can see, of course, a controlled governmental area. 5. All right, let's go on in and take a look at what we can see around it. I just want to go up to some of these towns here and see. What do we have here? I'm just kind of rolling around the map, guys. Oh, there's a church. There's some churches. If you've heard me speak before. All right, just out in the middle of no man's land, guys. CBC Church, just out in no man's land. You know? Yeah, there's pretty much nothing out there. Nothing. No town, no nothing. But there are churches, right? There are churches. Is this one in a town? Nope. Look at that. That one's labeled and yeah, churches. I bet they're churches. Churches for the Satanists helping out to traffic those children. Shh. Wow. Speaking openly, we might as well talk about what it really is, right? Enough beating around the bushes, right, guys? For sure. Let's just go out here off the coast and take a look here and see what some of these are. I'm going to move fast, 94 km. Let's go to the south here to this one and take a look. 6 days ago, there we go. 10 km or 5.0. All right. And this was Kandaran, Papua New Guinea again. There's another 10 km. Woohoo. Can't beat that with the stick, right? We're going to head over to the United States here. The Los Estados Unidos. Let's just take a view. I wanted to get you guys up here into. So here's the United States. We're going into the north of California here. Be zooming in here. I wanted to show you guys this latest of this dumb explosion. Look at that explosion, guys. Just whooped. Look at all those dumbs being blown up. Holy cannoli. All right, let's get an idea of where we're at here. All right, looks like we've got, there's our twinsies. You see our twinsies appearing? Always those twinsies, right? That was 8 hours ago, and that was a 6.0 km. And that was Silver Springs, Nevada, 4.7 blast. All right, let's coast in and see what we can see. Just looks like sand out there, completely sand out there. There we go. I have a very dear friend of mine whose daughter is out there on field ops, war ops right now. Thinking about her, looking at all of these sandy areas where we're not allowed to have communication with her for a couple more days. She's out there for 10 days. So I'm thinking about her as I look through the sandy areas. out there in the desert. This was 10 hours ago, and this was a 3.0 km. Again, Silver Springs, 4.2 blast. Very, very nice. Let's just see what's around it. Nothing really around it. Pull back out. I'm looking for the 10 km. I was just here before I loaded on, guys, and there is a 10 km. You can see there's a lot of reports of shaking. And your guess is as good as mine is of which one the shaking is coming from. Let's just click on a couple of the shakings. These are shaking. This is reports when you see these blue things. If you're new to this, these are reports of people reporting shaking from those dumb blasts. Okay, she said she was in bed and felt light shaking. All right, let's go ahead and grab somebody across town here. Let's see what they have to say. Light shaking again. Let's see if we have any yellows at all from these. Any yellow shaking? Let's see here. Doesn't look like it. Let's go to the east, though. I'm sorry, to the west, and just see what they're reporting shaking here. All right. Light shaking again. All right. Yeah, and that would make sense for the blast. Absolutely. That would make total sense for sure. So you can see it's pretty quiet across the United States. And, except for the active areas that they're normally active in, which is Oklahoma. Still busy on Oklahoma, folks. Still going. It's like the Energizer Bunny. Same with down here in Texas, in Midland, clear in through this region, the western side. All this area has been busy now for, we have to be going on almost 3 years after the tornadoes. We had a big fight with FEMA and the deep state out here. And ever since then, when we won, we've been busy blowing up tunnels, folks, like so. So also, I just wanted to point out to you, Cuba's a big deal right now, but take a look, guys, nice and quiet. Miami is quiet. It's all quiet on the eastern coast there. We see one popping in North Carolina, just south of Greensboro. Let's just pop on and see. That is a 2.0 km, 1.7 blast. And that was located northwest of Randleman, North Carolina, folks. Okay, let's just go on and zoom in and see what we can see. All right. Oh, there. See, more popped up. So they blew up one, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4 more that went, little baby ones in that area. It looks like they're still working on the area. So there you go. It's out in the field, but what in the world? Oh, that is what do you call it? Electrical station right there, I believe. I could be wrong. If somebody else, please, if I get anything wrong, please correct me. But you can see the tower. You can see the tower, I think. Yeah, I'm wrong on that, folks. It just looks like it's just the way that it looks. But there you go. There's that there. What do we have right here? Rick Galt Training. Oh, a horse training facility. Yeah, right next to it. Quite interesting. You guys, let's just go ahead and take a minute and let's run over to our, what do we have here in the north? Let's just check this out in Montreal, almost Ottawa. All right, here we go. 5 days ago. Ooh, good thing we stopped. Congratulations, Canada. Ottawa, 4.0 blast, 10 km. Yes. We love seeing that. All right, let's go on in. Looks like just off of... Can't read the highway, guys. Don't have my glasses on. My apologies. I just can't read that. All right, there we go. Of course, Hansel and Gretel style in the deepest, thickest forest, right? Hansel and Gretel style, we call that. All right, let's pop on over and just take a look at our orange screen and see what that's showing this evening. Oh, folks, one more thing. I wanted to come down into Venezuela, into Colombia. I just wanted to show you, you know how active it's been in Colombia for so long. Here's Colombia. And look at how nice it looks. It's quieting down. I'm hoping it's not just, a break. I really hope they're coming to a conclusion and an end. And of course, all the way from Alaska, the idea behind these dumps is to work your way from Alaska all the way down to the bottom of Brazil. And you can see they're getting close to the bottom of Brazil. A lot of action down there, you see. Here's the bottom of Brazil. There's one. Let's just click on it. We're here. Might as well. It's chilly. And that's a 36 km. And that was a 5.0 blast, folks. Okay. We'll just go on in and look, of course, right on the shelf. Right off. Ooh, I can't. Island Diego, I think is what that says. Hard to see. All right, let's pop on over. Have a look-see at our orange screen. All right, guys, here we are. Orange screen action there is. And of course, what we're used to, the war zone, squeeze zone, which is what I call it, from Mexico City down to Guatemala. Guatemala down there, they're active. It just looks like a puffy cloud. But to the east, okay, wait, let's first go in here. All right, so we do have some double screens all in through here. I'm going to get my glasses on one moment, please. Okay, just to the north of Guatemala and El Salvador, across the border, guys. This is actually a national forest area, okay? And you can see it right here, Laguna of Tiger National Parks. Also, to help with where this is located at, Los Margaritas. I'm just looking for that popping up. All right, you guys can see. So this would be out in the national park. This would be 1, 2, 3 layers. So there's some action going on there. Okay. They're definitely catching some bad guys. There's 2 layers, 1, 2, just to the east and south of Francisco Villa Minmantle. Okay, guys. So all of these in through here are very specific operations going on. Okay, Emilio Zapata, just to the north off of the 635 highway. Right here is the 635. We have a couple of them. All right, let's back her on out here. This is our war zone. Okay, and it extends. It looks like this orange screen entirely extends clear down almost to where the Panama Canal is. There's Panama City, folks. Okay, and there's the tip of it into Managua, into Nicaragua, folks. Okay, so they're still protecting that area. Let's just go up here. I do see a double screen just to the east of Mexico City. So they are catching some bad guys just to the north of Puebla. There you go. So we have 1, 2 screens. All right, let's pull out and head over here to Cuba. There's some action in Cuba, just to the west of Havana. All right, you guys, extending out here, Pinar del Rio, Guan. All right, so here's some of these names I'm racking off. Of course, National Park. There we go. All National Park. We have ourselves a triple. 1, 2, 3. That means they are not messing around. Okay, very specific. And it extends all the way out into the Yucatan channel, almost over to Cancun, folks. So there's some busy there. Oh, look at this. I see a little small screen just over the border. It's running right over the border of Florida into Georgia, guys. All right, there we go. So we have the Osceola National Forest, of course. National Forest, right? Yeah, they definitely, these national forests weren't about you and your family getting in the car and going camping. I can promise you that. Okay, guys. And so these are 2 screeners, Highway 89 I see coming through here. 1, 2 screens. Okay. Active there. Let's just look because these little tiny ones will pop up all over the place. And sometimes they can end up right inside of our gums. All right, let's go to the center of the United States here. All right, we have one just to the north up here, folks, of Minnesota. All right, up towards Red Lake. It looks like Upper Red Lake. Looks like lakes. Yep. You know, most lakes that are man-made and stuff like that, they are man-made. They're not there just to have lakes or to get water. These lakes give the ability for several different things regarding what goes on underground. Everything above ground is for what goes on down below ground. Okay, so don't think they all set us up, hooked us up with water, and here you guys go, and we'll give you this and give you that. No, it was all about what they needed and the lies they were going to have to tell up above in order to have what they wanted up above. So you can see that's a 1 screener there, folks. Okay. Minnesota's really bad, especially out here in the farmlands out here, stretching out to Mankato and heading south into Iowa. That area right there was really bad. A lot of submarine tunnels, guys, just loaded with submarine tunnels in through there. Just tons of them. Okay. In through there. All right. So we have another one in Iowa, a little P drop here. Let's take a look if there's any towns. Cleghorn. So it stretches from Cleghorn, Cherokee, Cleghorn up into Paulina. Okay. So something happening there, folks. All right. And coming on down, we can count this whole thing as 1 screen. Okay. And of course, we're coming in here. Oh, there's heavy traffic in Kansas, stretching up into Nebraska, guys. A lot of, I call them teardrops. So 2 and 3 screeners and 4 screeners. So if you think about it, so big action. This is really, whatever's going on here is big. Okay. So we have 1 screen, and then some of these we have 2, 3, and 4, like so, okay, like that. So some of these, they're just coating in the orange screen to protect or reflect or deflect. Orange screens are used for several different things with our military, mostly for protection, and they go up in the ionosphere. If you're new here, what I'm talking about right now, these orange screens, they go up in the ionosphere, folks. And they can throw them up and take them down as fast as us blinking. Okay. And they can move them around. Think of a piece on a countertop, and you slide a piece of paper around that can go all different shapes and sizes. They can blow them up and take them down as fast as they need to, you know. So there we go. Of course, just looking here, let's just north of Oklahoma, we have something big going on here off of Highway 64, folks. Okay, Highway 64 and Highway 160. All right, let's go ahead and go in. So we have 1, 2, 3 screens. Wow, 3 big screens right there. Some big going on tonight. And you could kind of tell, you know, by the weather that the deep state has not been happy with all the tornadic activity and stuff. They've been trying hard to get revenge on us. We don't quite have 100% control over HARP yet, but we will real soon, folks. And the weather that we fear so terribly as wonderful human beings will be no more, okay? All of the scary weather is not of naturality. It comes from HARP and was created and designed as warfare like that. So there you guys go. And on the way out the door, let's show you one of our culprits that manufactures bad weather. Okay. It's not a microwave for a kitchen. It says this is a HARP ELF wave facility. These waves penetrate everything on Earth And exactly with the ELF waves, you can ignite fires where you want to destroy something, earthquakes included, tsunamis included. So there's one of your machines that generates HARP weather, controlled weather warfare, that type of deal. And just so we can get an idea of what it looks like, I'm going to show you what it looks like when there is dumb blast going off below that is very close to the surface. This was January 31st, 2022, New York City.
Oh, shit. Oh. Fuck.
Nobody has a clue what it is. What is that, right? We know.
It's not over.
Looks like somebody blowing smoke rings. Quite interesting, huh? Yeah, we're doing some really good out there. And if you don't know what's going on, it can be scary to you. If you know what's going on, you do nothing but laugh and smile, right? And if you need to, guys, if you're new with DUMBs and understanding how they're coming into play in this war and how it comes into play with adrenochrome and child trafficking, definitely head over to DUMBs and Underground, okay? On Telegram. He taught me just about everything I know they did over there. It's DUMBs and Underground on Telegram, okay? And they will definitely, it's just constant. They're constantly scrolling information. There is no way if you jump into DUMBs and Underground, you're going to come back out not understanding what's going on for sure. And of course, I hope you guys enjoyed this report. Tonight, I am Wendy with Newsforce.
Okay, we finally got an update with the Newsforce lady. I got 10-minute Nick video, new one.
Perfect for refreshing your the spring savings event on now at Gardner White through April 29th.
My brother, he's violent, unafraid, oddly charming.
I'm standing here in Denver, Colorado, and here dangerous Venezuelan gangs such as Tren de Araguas have allegedly started to overtake apartment complexes and extort the people. These gangs are extremely dangerous, and it's extremely frightening that they have arrived here, not just only in Denver, but they have also arrived in cities like New York City, Chicago, and other sanctuary states and cities in America. As a large group of those migrants coming across the border are military-age men that have came over here all by themselves. And now, with Venezuela being the safest it's ever been, many people believe that their gangs and their prisons were let out of Venezuela to come here, and now they are assembling themselves as they have shown in videos on the internet, and as they have now started extorting specifically here in this area of Denver, Colorado, where the Venezuelan gangs have taken control. Talking to the locals and the people that live inside these complexes, we're going to be trying our best to track down Tren de Araguas and show you guys who these people are and how you guys can identify them here in Denver, Colorado, and across America. Is it true that Tren de Araguas has came here to this area of Aurora?
Sí, por todo esto. Incluso allá arriba cerraron un apartamento.
Entonces no es una mentira que los bandilleros han venido.
No, no.
¿Y qué está haciendo los bandilleros?
Pues lo que siempre, robar, meterse a todos los conjuntos, sacar cosas de los mercados, todo eso.
¿Y ha escuchado de otras personas aquí en este sector que han sido extornados?
No, por aquí no. Por aquí, por estos lados. Pero de aquel lado sí que hubo mucho eso.
So she's from Venezuela. And what kind of crimes do Tren de Araguas commit in Venezuela? So people here in America can understand how dangerous they really are.
Robar, matar, extorsionar, todo eso. Y quieren venir aquí a hacer lo mismo. No están en Venezuela para que hagan lo que hacen allá.
And so you believe they also want to do the same here as well?
Sí, ya se ve que lo hacen.
¿Y personas como usted y yo deberíamos estar temerosos de los miembros?
Sí, porque no les importa. A ellos no les importa hacerle daño a cualquier persona.
Do you feel safe walking the streets here?
No.
Ahora en este sector está peor que era ahí en Venezuela?
Sí, está casi igual que Venezuela.
Well, she's saying it is literally just about as bad in Venezuela as it is here in Aurora, Colorado with the gang. And what would be your message to the political leaders of the United States knowing that Tren de Araguas have arrived and they are committing a grievous crimes like murder and extorting to the people?
Okay, si pueden agarrarlos, mejor. Si los pueden deportar.
This apartment complex right here is one of the main apartment complexes that has been shut down due to rumors of Venezuelan gangs such as Tren de Araguas extorting the people inside of this building. This building is also in horrible shape. It is all boarded up. They have a fence around the entire perimeter, and they have even hired their own personal security to defend and protect this building. And man, how come this building is closed down right now? Tren de Araguas? What can you tell us about what happened here inside this apartment complex?
Oh, ese edificio lo cerraron por una balacera que hubo ahí en ese, donde está abierta la ventanilla. Se balearon 5 personas, no sé si hubieron muertos, pero más el motivo fue por eso, porque ya había mucho desmadre ahí. Los mismos ellos armaban el mismo desmadre y entre ellos mismos se peleaban y se agarraban allá adentro.
So inside this apartment complex, the migrants and the Venezuelans that were living in there had guns?
Sí, tenían armas porque de luego se agarraron adentro porque habían armas adentro del edificio.
And how is it possible for the Venezuelan migrants to get these guns?
Pues no sé, pero ahí se agarraron adentro con armas y los que se tiraron salieron para acá afuera.
So the bullets were leaving outside that building into your guys' neighborhood.
De adentro para afuera estaban saliendo nosotros estábamos dormidos, estábamos acostados con mi doña, como nosotros tenemos un bebé de 1 año. Nosotros tuvimos que tirarlos para el suelo porque fue allí en el último y se miraba que salían las chispas de las armas y los muchachos ya donde salieron tirados vinieron a salir a las calles, ya tirados los muchachos. Uno cayó allí por donde está la camioneta blanca. Se salieron pues ya tirados de adentro.
So everybody started leaving and running out of that apartment complex because there's literally a war going on with guns inside of the building.
Sí. Salieron porque eso fue en la madrugada, como a las 3 de la mañana.
¿Personas murieron adentro de eso?
No sé, pero sí hubieron tirados.
So people were shot. We don't know if they were killed, but they were shot and they left with wounds in their stomachs and in their body.
Sí, salieron disparados, baleados en sus pechos.
Usted salió a un país de tercer mundo y ahora parece que los Estados Unidos está volviendo a ser más como un tercer mundo.
Sí, porque se está, en vez de estar bien uno, tiene que andar con un ojo adelante y otro atrás.
These are the apartment complexes where the migrants came in and where you saw the video of the people coming through with a rifle to knock down a door. We're going to go see if we can talk to some of the people here. We got some people out here doing some car workshop. A lot of the cars here also are not registered. There are no plates on a lot of these vehicles here in this parking lot. So a lot of people are driving around unregistered vehicles, which also causes a harm because the police can't track what's going down if these people are using these cars for something that is not legal. A bullet comes through right here. So from what you have heard, do you believe that Tren de Araguas have came here? De lo que ha escuchado, ¿cree que Tren de Araguas han llegado aquí?
Por lo que se escucha, dicen que es el tren.
Es una gran posibilidad que sí.
Sí.
When you guys got here to America, did you think you guys would be living in conditions like this?
No.
Where are all the people from that live inside this apartment complex?
Aquí la gente que vive aquí, personas venezolanas, personas de México, de Honduras, de Brasil, de África. Aquí hay personas de todos diferentes países, no nada más venezolanos, como dicen en las redes, que en Aurora, que en los apartamentos solo hay venezolanos y que hay mafiosos y que hay bandas.
Who do you guys pay rent to? ¿Y ustedes a quién paga su alquiler?
Al dueño de los apartamentos. Nosotros, por lo menos yo tengo contrato.
Ah, ok. ¿Y cuándo usted tiene que pagar para vivir aquí?
1,200 pago yo.
1,200.
1,200 aparte, hay que pagar la luz.
$1,200
Los
here. This migrant said she was paying $1,200 in rent. However, in just a few moments, she will reveal how these migrants are actually able to live inside this apartment complex. But first, she let me get a tour of her apartment complex and the apartment complex of her father. All right, let us in here. Wow. Here on the wall, there's holes. She says the electricity doesn't work, the hot water doesn't run. Not a very good situation inside here. This is the bathroom in here. So the water inside your shower does not drain and there is no hot water.
No sale agua caliente en la ducha. Yo tengo que calentar agua para bañar a los niños y eso se tapa que a veces no baja el agua.
And then obviously the kitchen right here.
Se pone el agua y si no se seca se pone podrida el agua. Entonces tengo que estar secando, dejando un trapo ahí siempre.
And you still have to pay $1,200 just to live here.
Ya por lo menos estos meses atrás ya el dueño no ha querido recibir ninguna clase de pago.
So now we've hopped over to the next building, and on the windows right here, there's gunshots, bullets. These apartment complexes are in horrible condition. There's also throw up, whether it be a person or a dog. This place is absolutely disgusting. Oh. But this one's even worse. She says you can't even live here because the water doesn't even work. There's holes through the roof where water has came through, and you can't use the shower or tub or anything. This apartment is destroyed. There's cockroaches everywhere in here, and so nobody can live or even sleep in here because how bad of condition is. And does your father still have to pay rent?
Ya el dueño no está recibiendo ninguna clase de pago porque él también está tomando todo esto que de pandillas, de que mafia se está aprovechando de todo esto para sacarnos a nosotros como que si fuéramos perros y no es justo.
And so you say the landlord is not collecting rent, so are the gangs now coming in and charging people dinero?
No, nadie. Aquí nadie nos ha cobrado a nosotros nada.
And did you think that your life was going to be like this when you came across the border to live here in the United States?
No, jamás. Me hubiera quedado en mi país. Dicen que aquí ya todo es diferente, las leyes, todo, uno consigue su buen trabajo, uno sale adelante, puede reunir plática para llevar a su país, pero no todo es como lo dicen, que el sueño americano simplemente es un sueño. Cuando llegas aquí ya despiertas. No es como lo dicen.
Si alguien le dio un vuelo para regresar, una oportunidad de regresar a Venezuela, ¿regresaría?
Con todo el amor del mundo regresaría a mi país, sí.
¿Y usted cree que bandilleros han llegado aquí?
Sí he escuchado tiroteo, pero aquí adentro no he visto a ninguna persona con armamentos.
Okay.
Si vienen de los alrededores, vienen carros y arman, echan tiros que vienen y pues echan el poco de tiros y se van.
Y entonces sí escucharon los disparos.
Sí, el día que se armó el tiroteo, no sé, que corría mucha gente, yo escuché todo, pero salí corriendo y me escondí, fue en el baño, porque me daba miedo.
Aquí han escuchado disparos.
Se escuchaban allá afuera.
Afuera. And you believe those are members of Tren de Araguas? ¿Y creen que ellos son miembros de Tren de Araguas?
Bueno, no les sé decir porque no los he visto a nadie.
Pero de lo que ha escuchado de sus ventanas.
Dicen por el tipo de armamento, en los videos que han salido el tipo de armamento, dicen que son del Tren de Aragua. Hay muchos de ellos que dirán que son del Tren de Aragua. Nosotros somos venezolanos, pero somos de familia sana.
So the landlords have completely fled these buildings, which has caused a perfect situation for gangs to actually come in here and start extorting to the people, because if there's no government per se or no landlord inside this complex, the gangs come in and they create their own government, their own society here inside this complex. And so that's why the gangs are actually able to come in here and charge these people rent, even though they have no control of these buildings, because essentially all these people that are living here in this apartment building are squatting because they're not paying rent to anybody.
Okay, Carol, that's the latest on so we'll get the X2 report from yesterday, and then Nick just came out with a 14, so we'll finish off Nick for the first show. I'll do the short ones tonight.
Casein A2.
This one is 24. I want my boy to get the
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3886 AM. Today's date is April 19th, 2026, and the title of the episode is Right on Schedule. Gas prices begin to fall. Trump convinces Russia to support the dollar. Hey, did you realize that the way people are thinking about retirement is changing? For years, it was simple: stocks, bonds, and hope the market does its job over time. But with everything happening in the economy today, some investors are starting to realize they may need more diversified approach. That's where assets like crypto and precious metals are starting to come into the conversation. Not as speculation, but as a way to make a thoughtful allocation as part of a long-term strategy. With a crypto IRA through My Digital Money, you can invest in both crypto and precious metals. Within a structured retirement account, your assets are secured in cold storage, so they're kept offline and protected from online threats. They're also held with a regulated U.S. custodian and supported by a U.S.-based team you can actually talk to. If you want to see how it works, go to mydigitalmoney.com or call 833-636-2008 and ask about their promotion of up to $200 based on the investment amount. Just enter X22 in promo code field to be eligible, or just click the link in the description. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see that Trump now is turning everything around. Think about it. He controls what's going on in Iran. Now, does this mean we're finished with what's going on in Iran? No. You might see gas prices bump up a little bit, but overall, Trump is letting everyone know that he is in complete and utter control of the entire situation. And this is why we have seen gas prices come way, way down. Remember, the prices are driven by fear. And look, as soon as Trump removed that fear, the prices started to come down. And this is right on schedule because, again, as we move closer and closer to the midterms, you can see that gas prices, they're going to snap back to exactly where they were, and they'll probably come down even lower as we move forward. And you can see that everything is about to change. And it's going to change in a way that people are going to feel good. Because remember, people are now getting their refunds from the one big beautiful bill. People are now going to see oil prices start to come down. They're going to see the financial pundits, the deep state players, the Ds, and everyone else that are complaining that, oh, look, oil prices are going up, gas prices are going up. All of a sudden, everything's going to be reversed. And remember, this wasn't as bad as when Biden was in office. So their argument kind of is falling on deaf ears right now. But once again, you could see that Trump's entire mission is to do what? Is to get control of energy across the globe. And that's exactly what he's doing. Now, all those countries that are fighting back, all those countries that are pushing the Green New Scam, all those countries that are doing the opposite of the United States, they're going to start to have massive problems. Yes, you're going to see Europe, Australia, New Zealand, you name it, they're all going to have massive problems. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And you could see that out in Australia, they're having a very difficult time because, again, their refineries are non-existent. One just caught on fire, and they're pushing the Green New Scam. And the Australian farmers are actually fighting against the government because they don't want electrical lines running through their properties. Disclosed put this out and said, Australian farmers vowed to continue blocking access to their land to allow survey teams onto their properties to do environmental studies for a proposed 311-mile network of high-voltage lines linking renewable energy zones, part of a $7.6 billion transmission project. So basically, you can see what they're trying to do here. They want to do environmental studies. They want to show that, look, we can use these lands. They probably want to take the lands away from the farmers because, again, this is the plan from the very, very beginning. And you could see that the farmers now are starting to fight back. And what's very interesting is that Australia right now is having a very, very difficult time. The International Monetary Fund says Australia is on track to have one of the highest
taking.
inflation rates in the developed world. Why? Because think about it. They're moving down the path of what? The green news scam. And yes, they're going full green just like everywhere else. And you need energy to manufacture. You need energy for pretty much everything. So when you start to look at this, you can see that Australia is going to be in quite a bit of trouble. And you're going to see inflation start to move up, not just in Australia, but you're going to see it move up in the UK, in France, and a lot of the European nations. And you're going to see that their GDP growth is going to be absolutely flat. Because again, all you got to do is look at Germany, look at California, because they are the template for the green news scam. And when you look out there, you could see how much damage the green news scam has caused. And Trump is already now pointing to Spain because they're following the same exact path. They're letting the illegals in, which is going to raise prices. I mean, we see this in Australia, we see it in France, we see it in the UK, and they're going to do the same thing as the green news scam. I mean, already we could see they have a major problem with electricity. Electricity costs are going up. They had power outages, and they have major problems. And soon you're going to see the economy start to falter. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said the following: has anyone looked at how badly the country of Spain is doing? Their financial numbers, despite contributing almost nothing to NATO and their military defense, are absolutely horrendous, sad to watch. And yes, you're going to see the difference between the U.S. economy, the European economy, Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of the countries, because again, we're going in two opposite directions. Trump now is building the economic system here in the United States. It's running parallel to the central bank system. We're using oil and gas, nuclear fusion, you name it, to handle the manufacturing that is now coming online. The other countries are offloading their manufacturing to China. They're pushing companies out of their country. They're using energy sources that are not reliable. And you're going to see that this is going to have a major impact on the economic system of those countries. So let's see how this all play out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that we know that within the United States, there are certain manufacturers, there are certain producers that have been controlling the prices in this country. When you look at the meat industry, when you look at eggs, when you look at a lot of different things, you could see that they are controlling the prices. They're controlling what goes on here. Just like Biden, when he pushed the entire bird flu thing and you saw the producers burning their chickens, shutting down their operations to raise egg prices. Well, we could see that right now the DOJ, they're looking into all of this and they're investigating how they're controlling the prices. You have to remember, the entire economic system is pretty much rigged. Because if you go back to the central bank system, this is when the rigging started. And yes, the rigging went into different industries. Praying Medic put this out and said the DOJ is preparing to file an antitrust lawsuit against some of the country's biggest egg producers over allegations they coordinated pricing through an informational service that benchmarks prices for the industry. David Kaiser says, I just love how easy it is to find out anything now. The three biggest companies produce 30% of all eggs in the U.S. Cal-Maine Food, 50.61 million laying hens. Rose Acre Farm, 25.5 million laying hens. Daybreak Foods, Inc., 23.3 million laying hens. Every third egg. I can look at anything. There's no free market nowadays. I mean, even the freaking eggs are dominated by some weird oligopoly. And that is absolutely true. And we see it with the meat industry. We see it with the egg industry. We see it all over the place. And once again, if you're going to put the economy on the right track, you got to remove all these.
What my husband told me about the real cause of Alzheimer's before he died last year made me flee the United States forever. Only watch if
price controls that they have in place. And again, this goes all the way back to the central bank system because that's when the rigging originally began. And then it got worse and worse as time went on. Yes, we went through World War II. We became the reserve currency. 1970s, we went off the gold standard. 2008 financial crisis. The central bank took full control. And when you look at the companies across America, they were in line with all of this. And a lot of the prices move up and down because of fear. The market moves up and down because of fear or news. So we can see that Trump now is actually now pushing against all of this. And he wants actual economic data to drive certain things. But again, this is how the deep state, the central bankers control everything. This is why, now we all know Wall Street doesn't lose money on sell-offs. You do. They create the panic, wait for you to dump your position out of fear and scoop it up at a discount. The big banks aren't selling their gold, they're buying yours. Every time the headlines scream regular people sell, every time regular people sell, the institutions are right there, waiting with open hands. You built portfolio insurance for a reason. Don't let a red day hand it over to the people who cause it. That's why I tell people to talk to Noble Gold Investments. They will help you build a long-term plan and, more importantly, help you stick to it when the noise gets loud. The minors up and downs, that's weather. The long-term trend, that's climate. And the climate has been favoring gold for 5,000 years. So the next time you see a dip and you feel that knot in your stomach, ask yourself one question. Am I making this decision, or is Wall Street making it for me? Don't let them shake you out of the position you built to protect yourself. That's exactly what they want. And right now, all new qualified accounts receive a 10th-ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Real gold in your hands. That's the whole point. Go to x22gold.com. That is x22gold.com, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. The Biden administration, all they had to say was, hey, look, there was the bird flu out there. Everyone be afraid. Have the different agencies say, yes, we detected the bird flu, and then instructed them to destroy their entire crop of hens and make sure that no one got eggs. You create a shortage. And if there's a shortage, prices are going to go up. And if you notice, when Trump came into office, what happened to the bird flu? It just disappeared. Everything was fine. Or was it just all made up? Think about that for a second. I mean, even now, when you look at the gas prices, you could see they were driven by fear. It's driven by news. And go back a little bit in time. Go back to when Biden had gas prices go up and compare it to when Trump's prices have been going up. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said the following, and this is coming from Toxic Cowboy. Trump gas prices rose to $3.96 due to his attack on Iran. Biden gas prices rose to $5.02 due to his attack on Americans. That should tell you everything you need to know. And think about it. Trump, he's not raising the gas prices to hurt the people. What he's doing is he's removing everything the deep state, the central bankers are put into place to keep control of the gas prices. And now he's removing that control and opening up the markets. They closed the Venezuela market. They actually tried to close the U.S. market. They placed sanctions on Russia to close that market. They controlled what was coming out of Iran, and they kept the fear up to keep control of the oil prices across the globe. And we only got our oil from pretty much the Middle East, the majority of it. They did this on purpose. Now Trump is decentralizing all this and removing everything that they put into place. And everything now is changing. And think about all the investments that are coming back to the United States. Remember, a lot of these investments are coming back. The manufacturing plants are being built. Data centers are being built. And when all's said and done, we're going to be a manufacturing powerhouse. And you're going to see inflation drop dramatically. You're going to see GDP numbers go way, way up. And Trump is going to have what he needs in the parallel economic system. Because remember, when the central bank was forming and coming into existence and actually taking over this country, because that's pretty much what they did, what did they have to do? Well, they knew their system broke down over time. They knew the system wouldn't be able to operate if the manufacturers stayed in this country, because people would realize that, wait a minute, why is everything becoming so expensive? Why do we pay so much for these manufactured products if they're manufactured in the United States? It doesn't make any sense. And then people would have started to dig deeper and start to realize, oh, wait, this has to do with the devaluation of the currency. And over time, the value of the currency becomes weak, less and less and less, which means you need more of those pieces of paper. So how do you mitigate this? How do you counter this so nobody raises any questions? Well, you make up stories. You force companies out of this country. You bring them into other countries where you have slave labor, and that means people are getting paid pennies on the dollar. You have pretty much no regulations whatsoever, and energy is very, very cheap. And you make sure there are no tariffs coming into the United States. This is how you trick the people. Because again, as the central bank system breaks down, you can't have people realize what's really going on. And what's really going on is those pieces of paper, they're losing value every single day. Plus, you have to make sure that no one realizes that gold is actually rising. So you have to create a paper market. When was the paper market created? Oh, I think, wasn't that like 1973 or so? And then all of a sudden, with the paper market, you can control the price of gold. And this way you can keep the illusion alive. Remember, these people are very, very slick. They know exactly what they're doing.
I got
But
one
think
more
about what Trump is doing.
15-minute
He's
video
reversing all this.
on
He's bringing the
military
manufacturing
on
back.
Iran.
He's bringing the jobs back. Everything that they moved out during the 70s, 80s, 90s, moving forward, he's bringing this all back because he knows when he flips the switch and he moves us from the central bank system, we need to make sure that the companies are here producing. And this is why he's going to remove regulations. This is why he's going to remove taxes for these companies, because again, he needs to bring them back here. Bernie Moreno put this out and said, here's what you won't read in the mainstream media. Since Liberation Day 1 year ago today, these are the announced investments from auto companies: Hyundai, Kia, 26 billion, Stellantis, 13 billion, Toyota, 10 billion, on top of a 60 billion they have invested already. Mercedes-Benz, 4 billion, on top of the 7 billion invested to date. Ford, 5 billion, GM, 4 billion. Every single Democrat opposes the tariffs that led to these investments. Instead, every single Democrat voted for and supported the moronic push to electric vehicles that cost the U.S. auto industry almost $100 billion. China was laughing at the absurdity, but a new renaissance in U.S. automotive manufacturing is coming. And Trump has done this. So the question is, why did he do this? Because he's reversing everything the central bank did. The central bank, since the 70s, has done what? Moved all the manufacturers out of this country. He is now bringing them back to this country. So basically, he's just reversing what was done since 1913. Yes, it accelerated in 1971 because we came off the gold standard, but he's just reversing everything that was done. This way, he can put the country back on the right path. And yes, he's building the parallel economic system to basically compete against the central bank system. Because again, if you're going to remove the central bank system, you need a way to have income come into this country. This is why he's created the parallel economic system. This is why he's setting up the stable coins. This is why he's backing the US dollar. See, he's backing the US dollar, not the Federal Reserve note. Yes. Are we still dealing with the Federal Reserve note? Yes. This is the product of the central bank system. Eventually, what's going to happen is I do believe the entire Federal Reserve system is going to be restructured into the Treasury, and the Federal Reserve note will no longer be called the Federal Reserve note. It will be called the US dollar. And Trump wants to make sure that we maintain our reserve status across the globe. And if you're going to remove the dollar, which is now the Federal Reserve note, but I do believe it's going to become a US dollar, when you remove us from the central bank system, you need other mechanisms in place to take over. And I do believe this is why he's creating the stable coins to back the US dollar. I do believe in the end, what he will do is
medical freedom starts with access. Most pharmacies decide for you, not with you. All Family Pharmacy gives that choice back.
He will audit the gold reserves that we have to give us additional leverage against the deep state, the central bankers across the world. And he's going to use all of this against them. And think about what he's doing. He's making us energy independent. He's reversing everything that they did back in the 60s, moving into the 70s when we came off the gold standard. And that is in regards to the oil control. Trump is now decentralizing the oil control. He is now preparing a mechanism to back the US dollar, which is stable coins. And think about what the deep state players have been doing. They've been basically pushing the other countries away from the United States by placing sanctions, by demonizing them. He's been pushing countries like Russia away, and they had to set up mechanisms away from the US dollar. Now it seems that since Trump now has been speaking to Putin, he's been speaking to Xi Jinping, and I do believe they are working together to basically take down the entire central bank deep state structure. It seems now that Russia is willing to start trading with the United States in dollars again. And yes, China might be freaking out right now, but I think in the end, the entire BRICS system that they've created, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. This system will no longer exist because, again, the deep state players, what they really wanted is they wanted the countries to de-dollarize, because remember, their plan was to shift everything to China. China was going to be the central location of all of this. And now you can see that Trump now is reversing all this. From the very, very beginning, I do believe Russia always wanted to trade with the United States. Trump now is telling Putin and making deals with Putin that, yes, this will be possible. And if Russia becomes a trade ally of the United States, it's going to be very, very hard for the deep state players to convince people that they're the boogeyman. And I do believe eventually what's going to happen is all of this, the entire push, what the deep state players and the central bankers have been doing for a very long time, this is all going to start to disappear. And when countries start to go against the central banks throughout the world, because remember, the central bank is in every single country, this is when you're going to see gold really start to move. And I do believe this is why there's a lot of nations now ramping up on gold, because again, they're not ramping up on paper currency, they're ramping up on gold, because they know in the end, this is the true money, and those pieces of paper are going to be worth absolutely nothing. So eventually, I do believe that Trump will use gold and silver as leverage against the deep state players, just like he's going to be using the blockchain and stable coins against the deep state players. Because in the end, what he's actually doing, when you step back and take a look at the 40,000-foot view, you can see he's putting all the pieces in place to go up against the central bank system. And the central bank system, what they created, Trump is just reversing the entire thing that they did. So if you go back in time, the central bank started with the wealthy and they taxed the wealthy and they brought it all the way down to the poor. Trump is going to reverse that. He's going to start at the poor, which you can see he's already done. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. And he's going to bring this up through the middle class all the way up to as far as he can go to the wealthy, reversing what the central bank did. The central bank took control of the economic system and shifted the manufacturers out of this country. Trump now is just reversing that. He's bringing all the investment back to this country to counter what the central bank has done. The central bank created up a debt system where we had to borrow to keep the country running. Trump now is just created a system that brings in income. There is no debt. We're not creating any new currency, so we don't have to worry about inflation. So everything that they did, Trump is reversing. Even when you look at the illegals, they need the illegals to work at the jobs. They needed the wages to go down to keep their system operational, just like they moved the manufacturers out of this country and they brought them into third world countries because they needed cheap labor. Well, to keep the system going in the country, you need to continually bring in cheap labor. Trump now has reversed that. He removed those people, the cheap labor, from this country, and he's going to continue to do this.
Yes,
and wages are going up now because he's preparing for the new system. So everything the central bank has done, Trump now is reversing. And you can see other nations like Russia, they're all going to be coming in line now. And everything the deep state players have tried to do to shift the entire world away from the Federal Reserve note. And yes, this was done on purpose to shift everyone into the new system. Trump now is countering it all. And you can see that the deep state, the central bankers, they're having a very, very difficult time with this. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared.
Okay, we got yesterday's X2 out. To finish off for show one will be a military video. 15-minute. This came out this morning. Or sometime. It's a new one.
Through the engine room. Just a wild situation. Let's check it out.
Motor vessel Tosca. Vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
Disabling fire. Horn blows. Get out of the engine room. Wow. That gun going right through the engine room. Talk about precision. Woo! Ouch. It's Monday, April 20th, and we're deep in today, whatever this is, during the tense standoff between Iran and the USA. But yesterday, things got way hotter. In the last 24 hours, the U.S. seized the Iranian-flagged cargo ship, the MV motor vessel Tuska, right in the Arabian Sea near the Strait of Hormuz. That nearly 900-foot beast was steaming straight for the Bandar Abbas area in clear violation of the U.S. blockade that Iran is calling piracy, obviously. The guided missile destroyer USS Spruance, an Arleigh Burke-class powerhouse, gave them repeated warnings over a full 6-hour standoff. When the crew ignored every call, the Spruance opened up with its 5-inch gun, and several rounds went right into the engine room, blowing a hole that left the ship dead in the water. Then Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit fast ropes off helicopters from the USS Tripoli and took full control in a textbook boarding operation. CENTCOM dropped the dramatic video fast, and Iran's already screaming bloody murder, saying, oh, this is piracy, this is illegal. Iran talking about breaking the law and not being legal. Well, the tables have definitely turned at this point. Stay with me. This is American sea power at work, and the coming hours could reshape this entire standoff. And President Trump talked about this on Truth Social. He said, today an Iranian-flagged cargo ship named Tuska, nearly 900 feet long, weighing almost as much as an aircraft carrier, tried to get past our naval blockade, and it did not go well for them. The U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer, the U.S. Spruance, intercepted the Tuska in the Gulf of Oman and gave them fair warning to stop. The Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel. The Tuska is under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of their prior history of illegal activity. We have full custody of the ship and are seeing what's on board. President Donald J. Trump. And here we are on CENTCOM's X page. Let's have a little view of the Marines departing amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli by helicopter and transiting over the Arabian Sea to board and seize the Tuska, the motor vessel Tuska. The Marines repelled onto the Iranian-flagged vessel April 19th after the guided missile destroyer USS Spruance disabled Tuska's propulsion, which we just saw, when the commercial ship failed to comply with repeated warnings from U.S. forces over a 6-hour period. You can't really be any more clear than what we just watched, but let's check out this assault force. Woo! Through NVGs right there, night vision goggles. You can see that subtle flex. You can see the rifles of the assault team. No big deal. They're just watching another helicopter. Well, they're on a separate helicopter. 2 different helicopter assault teams from the Marines coming in. Wow. You don't want to be on the business end of that. They're coming down. Good footage. Nice. So this is a coordinated effort, and Marines are the best in the world at doing this. These Raider teams from the Marines go in no uncertain terms and make things happen. The definition of being an athlete. But let's walk through exactly how this went down step by step, because it looks to be a super clean, professional operation, and it showed exactly why you don't mess with the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Marines. The Tuska was hauling toward Iran at speed when Spruance lit them up with warnings. 6 straight hours of turn around or else, basically giving them every chance in the book to not get their engine room blown to pieces. They kept pushing, though, and the Spruance's crew directed the engine room to evacuate, as we heard in that initial radio call. That's a nice little touch. That's a very nice little gesture of, hey guys, we're going to blow the you-know-what out of your engine room. You might want to step out of there. Then the Spruance fired those 5-inch rounds with precision, radar-guided precision rounds that disabled propulsion without turning the whole ship into a fireball. The ship went dead in the water. Marines launched from the Tripoli assault ship. They repelled onto the deck and secured the vessel. Now it's in full U.S. custody, cargo under inspection, no casualties reported on either side, and the op wrapped like clockwork. That's not luck at all. Again, there's no luck involved in this situation. The massive amount of training obviously paid off for the Marines. Superior sensors, superior training, and the willingness to back everything up with steel. That's what the Spruance just did in combination with the U.S. Marines. And the mullahs just got a reminder that when our Navy says the blockade line is hard, it's not just a suggestion, and there's nothing flaccid about that operation. But the real question here is how Iran plays this and whether they've got any cards left worth betting on. At this point, it doesn't look like they have much. But on the Iranian side, the responses came fast and fiery. They're calling this straight up armed piracy and maritime armed robbery, of course, claiming it's a blatant violation of the ceasefire. The Qatam al-Aniba Central Command, the IRGC, and the Foreign Ministry all piled on, all IRGC elements basically. They declared that Iranian forces will soon respond and retaliate. They've ruled out the upcoming talks in Pakistan as well. That's all the information I'm seeing. They're basically saying they're not going to the ceasefire talks. They're not going to try to get a negotiated deal. So what does that mean? The writing might be kind of on the wall. They're accusing the U.S. of using diplomacy as nothing more as a smokescreen for more aggression. Officials tied to the supreme leader's circle are already talking. They're spouting new rhetoric. They said that there will be new and bitter defeats for the U.S. and Israel coming up here soon. And they're threatening to expand the fight, hitting Bab al-Mandab. That is that strait near Saudi Arabia, which you can use to avoid the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran knows that. And they're kind of like, why isn't the U.S. more concerned about the Strait of Hormuz? Well, the U.S. doesn't get really any oil at all from the Strait of Hormuz. And oh, by the way, Europe is shipping dozens, if not more, of their empty oil tankers over to the U.S. to get that beautiful, sweet crude from North Dakota, Texas, Alaska. So actually, this is good for business for the U.S., and I think that has the IRGC shocked. But the IRGC has said they'll go after Aramco facilities or they'll light up these choke points if the blockade stays in place. They're framing themselves as the victims. Highway robbery at sea. We're just the IRGC. We're good guys. We don't wish anybody harm. We haven't propped up proxy armies around the world. We're the guy that you should be wanting to date your sister for sure. This is classic tough talk, but the reality on the water today shows the limits of what the IRGC can actually do. The IRGC is yelling loud about how they're going to get ultimate payback on the United States, but at this point, I think their swagger is looking a little bit soft in the middle.
Oh, look, I'm getting a call from one of those
How do you guys
unknown
like
numbers.
this Have you tried guy?
reversephone.com? Reversephone.com?
Yeah, we all get numbers from calls.
But let's cut through the noise and hit the key takeaways that
Halfway,
actually
7
matter that you need to know. This was the first actual seizure since the blockade kicked off, and it proved that the U.S. means business and there's teeth behind the blockade. The Trump administration has been blunt and unapologetic about enforcing this blockade and not being tapped along by Iran, which Iran has done to the world for 47 years. And oh, by the way, they've tapped along many U.S. presidents and administrations while these administrations have just paid them off and allowed them to build their massive ballistic missile stocks and their drone stocks. And then a little treat for everybody. We've got another IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Lego movie. So let's have a little view of this beautiful piece of artwork.
U.S. Epstein regime crossed the line again.
Again, they're trying to say this is all a distraction. Everybody that throws out the Epstein thing, again, it's all a big num distraction. It's so funny.
Yeah. U.S. Yeah. U.S. Navy out there playing dirty games. Seized Iranian cargo, caught it interdiction. We know it's a lie.
That's the IRGC headquarters at this point, apparently.
Persia boys, Lego News reveals the truth. Violation of law, they don't even.
We don't know who we're dealing with yet.
Rolled up and made the Navy back down.
So they're saying they seized the ship. The U.S. Navy seized the ship and is now retiring. Yeah, yeah, definitely a retirement. Actually, shooting through an engine room of your vessel. Yeah, that's technically that would be a nice retirement party.
Declared war, take what you started. IRGC Navy came through with the pressure. U.S. forces ran, that's the real truth. Yeah, two narratives, but the message.
Like, this is sacred defense, and Iran don't quit. The only thing sacred that the IRGC is doing is protecting the regime itself. That's all that is sacred to the IRGC. They could care less about anybody else except that inner circle. And that's why we've seen them slaughter 40,000 of their own people. But yeah, of course, IRGC, it's definitely a sacred defense. And then here's the map to get us all on the same page of where this interdiction likely took place. So the US Navy blockade is happening somewhere in this area out here. So likely that vessel was intercepted in this region right here. And again, it's trying to get through the blockade. So it thinks it can make it through. It's like, think skinny. And they're like, you're a 900-foot long oil tanker. And it's like, I know, but we've been on a diet. We're going to make it through the blockade today. We're skinny today. And the US Navy is like, we've seen you from 100 miles away. But let's talk about the hardware that makes moves like this possible in this blockade every single day. And that is US sea power and air power. It rests on proven platforms like the Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer that ended up unleashing on that Iranian oil vessel. The Spruance has versatility, it's heavily armed, and it's built to dominate in fights just like this. But that's not all that's in this blockade. The US also has submarines quietly lurking underneath the depths, ready to support any escalation that should come from Iran. And then up above, fighter jets were likely there providing crucial air support and top cover for the whole operation. FA-18 Super Hornets screaming in from carrier decks with their unmatched air-to-air and strike capability. F-15E Strike Eagles delivering precision firepower and deep strike options. And then even A-10 Warthogs right there, bringing in famous close air support muscle with those 30mm guns and loiter time that can stay on station for hours if things get dicey. And they can be right there above the Spruance, spraying that 30mm weapon on any of those fast attack craft coming in from Iran, giving real teeth to the skies and not just the sea. And then persistent ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance can be done over the entire operational area with everything from MQ-4 Global Hawks, those big drones, to smaller first-person view drones that are launching off of the fast attack craft of the Marine Expeditionary Unit right now. The Marine Expeditionary Unit is right there doing what they do best, enforcing this blockade. So the combo, surface ships, submarines, fighter jets overhead, Marines on the deck, and unmanned eyes in the sky is why operations like this go textbook instead of turning into a mess. But all of this ties into the greater 4D chess strategic analysis section. And you know I love to say 4D chess. The whole goal here, enforce the blockade hard enough to force real compliance at the table without jumping straight to all-out war, even though in the next few days, all bets are off at this point. It sends the clearest signal to Iran yet that violations have immediate, tangible costs, and they're not going to be able to get any revenue from these oil tankers. So picture this. If things heat up even more, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers like the Spruance handle the surface fight and precision strikes. Submarines deny the depths, drones maintain overwatch, and a Marine Expeditionary Unit stands ready to board, secure, or project power exactly where needed. Everything works together, layered, professional, and overwhelming when it has to be done and whenever it needs to be done. And then that blockade could transition extremely quickly to actual strikes on Iran itself should this conflict kick back off. But the bottom line here, American sea power just proved once again why it's the gold standard. And you team that up with air power from the Navy, from the Marines, and from the Air Force, and you really have the ability to pressure the Iranian regime. And who knows, maybe form some cracks within. But it looks like everything we're seeing, all the rhetoric, again, we've seen the nihilistic approach that the Iranian regime has had, and it looks like they just want to go down with the ship, especially the fact that they're calling off these talks that could have led to a peace deal. So the next few hours, next few days, likely we're going to see some escalation. It doesn't look like anything is slowing down, so probably getting hotter before it cools back off. But what does Iran do next? What do you think happens from here? Would love to hear what you think. And then go ahead and follow me on X, follow me on Instagram. I'm posting there pretty much every day. Click the link in the description, join.
Yeah, I haven't played him in a while. I think he's okay. You guys like him? So we had the X2 report. We got Billy Bean out, Newsforce. So we got all the big ones out of the way, and we'll do the small ones tonight. We wanted to get Newsforce out, so we got that one out. So about 5 or 6, I'll be back. Everybody have a good afternoon. We'll see you after dinner time. Thanks, Lucy and Karen, the only ones that came in, I think, this show. So God bless everybody. Love all. Please hit like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep your faith, and never give up. Signing off for Chico News for show number 1. And be back tonight.